Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. And I want to give a shout out to one of our YouTube subscribers who left one of the nicest comments ever on the interview that we did with a certain director. And I just wanted to say thank you. Actually, it brightened up my day. Don't know if you're listening to this, man, but it did brighten up my day. So thank you. Second, why are you all watching us on YouTube? Our numbers on YouTube are going up for some inexplicable
I
reason.
haven't seen the comment, so hopefully they weren't mean to me.
No, it had nothing to do with either one of you. No offense. It was with Gary.
It wasn't with Gary Marshall. That would have been a great interview.
Yeah, no, it was the guy that directed Dead and Buried and Poltergeist 3. And yeah. So anyway.
Well, screw you, commenter.
No, he was very complimentary to me.
Yeah, to you, not to James and I. So I guess
because you weren't on the episode.
Well, still could have said something nice about us.
Why?
Because
I've
we're
never
charming
said anything
and
nice
lovely.
about me.
There you go.
Yeah, we don't have self-esteem, and that person, whoever you are, you just stepped on it further.
Yeah, well, if you don't have any, there was nothing to step on. So they're just walking over your invisible corpse.
I have low self-esteem, but I make up for it by having low esteem for others.
Yeah. So this week's topic, a little different. James, you want to explain it?
So I told Chad this earlier.
So you and Chad are talking now about me behind my back.
Well, he stopped by. We had some scones. You know, just like
I thought you were going to say skull. For some odd reason, it was skull.
Well, we had skull. We had skull while we were eating scones. It increases the flavor.
Yeah,
the flavor of the skull,
the buttery scone with the smokiness of the skull.
You've never had skull. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Man, wintergreen. It was wintergreen.
Wintergreen, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I screwed this all up.
Yeah, you did.
Chad, that's a man. That's a man going now. When
smoky flavor. James, if you're lighting your chew on fire, you're doing it wrong.
No, I still put it in there though. I still do it, and then I light it because that's just how tough I am.
But there's a couple of times I've had chew and snuff and whatnot. It made me ill. Makes me physically ill. It's too much nicotine, which I never thought I could say, but it's true. But it's a man trying to. It sounded like a man trying to describe sex who'd never had it. The smoky peat flavor.
Hold on. Is she a goer? Is she a goer then?
Well, she's got a smoky peat flavor. Anyway, you were saying about
the backstory
your
of this, and I told Lisa.
You and Chad were hanging out behind my back, talking about how you can cut me out. We're ready to go, guys. Another job out the door for Joel.
No. But no, I was explaining. This topic came about.
Well, in all fairness, you can contact your commenter. He can give you a job.
I hope he does. At least somebody will love me.
Oh, you have your mother. Well, I mean, there's.
Everyone had my mother, James.
You have organs, and people would probably like those. Anyway, so this came about because I was sitting in my office, and I was. Long story short, somebody asked me if I wanted a GA, and I said I don't know what I'd have them do because I'm a historian. What are they going to do for me?
Explain what a GA is, James.
A graduate assistant. They wanted to know, do you want a graduate assistant to help you with your research? I'm like, well, I have to go to the archives. I have to, and I had one once before, and I literally just had to hand them handwritten documents that I had scanned and say, hey, transcribe these for me. And I'm like, that's a terrible job for a graduate assistant to have. So I said, I don't need one. But after they left the office, I thought, it is a good question. What type of assistant, who would be the best type of assistant for me? What type of, if I had to think, what is the ideal assistant? And it came to me who my best assistant would be, and it's going to be my first pick. So do you want me to just roll into my first pick?
Well, before you do that, before you pick, I have a question.
That and I went a different way with this, but keep going.
Oh. Well, okay. Well, then go with your what did you do? Because then I have a question.
Well, I kept looking for assistants, and my assistants are all evil henchmen.
So that leads into my question, Joe. When is an assistant, and when is an assistant and a hitchman? Because I was looking, I was putting my list together.
All my picks are bad guy henchmen.
I have the answer, by the way, gentlemen.
Go for it, because
it is my first pick, and it is what I realized.
Yeah, because when I started putting my list together, everybody I'm like, oh wait, no, that's a henchman, and then I was like questioning, are they one and the same?
Yes.
They are in my world. And here's why. As I literally imagine me sitting alone in my office, dry clicking a revolver. No, and I literally was like, what type of assistant would I want? And I shared this with my wife later on. It dawned on me, the best assistant in the world. I found the answer. It really is the answer. I need, above all others, I need Igor. Because think about Igor. Imagine the one ad. You got assistant. You thought, I'll clean some beakers, I'll set up some experiments. And then one day your boss came in and was like, listen, little unorthodox, but can you go out with me and we're going to dig up some bodies and I'm going to piece them back together. And you're going to turn a crank and we're going to run electric current through them to see if they'll come back to life. And that assistant, did he immediately go, I'm going to report this. This is a problem. This guy's bad news. No, Igor, but you know what? He hired me. He hired me to assist him in the lab. And this is a lab project, and that's my job. I need an Igor. Well, Igor is the best assistant ever. And by the way, useless trivia, Igor is not the name of the character in the first Frankenstein. Does anybody remember what it is?
I can't remember.
Igor didn't come till later.
It's Fritz.
It was Boris Karloff. It was Bela Lugosi, right?
Yes, Fritz. Not the first one. Fritz. Who played Fritz?
Well, no, I'm saying when Igor first got introduced, it was played
Igor,
by
and it was YGOR originally, and it was. You're right. It was Bela Lugosi. Yes. However, anyway, so, but originally it was Fritz, but that character, that type of character that got hired to do a job, and then as the job just kept getting worse and worse, never did Igor or Fritz or whoever, whatever, never did he say, you know what? Listen, Doc, I'm out. You've made it too weird. No, he got hired to assist in the lab, and by golly, he assisted in the lab. And that's why Igor is my number one assistant that I would want to have.
Well, in all fairness, though, he's incompetent.
Well, no, hold on. They've made him incompetent in post pictures. What I was going to say is, James, you're all on the same page, because if you didn't bring it up, I was going to be the best assistant or the most famous assistant of all time is Igor.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I disagree.
Who is more?
Renfield.
I don't know, because it depends on how you look at Renfield. And if you're looking at it from the book, Renfield's really not his assistant. Renfield's already in the psychiatric house, in the nut house.
Yeah, he's in the asylum. True.
So yes, asylum. That's what I was supposed to call them. I forgot. He's squirrel shit.
But I mean, you are right in that Igor over time became incompetent. He grabbed the wrong brain. But if you look at the Bela Lugosi version, he's smart. He's actually vindictive. He's very cunning and trying to get what he wants out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could, but I'll give it to you. Yeah, Joe, you go ahead and I'll go third.
Well, so there's a bunch, because I like me some evil henchmen, and I don't really know. I'll tell you that the first three are going to be three. Okay?
I gotta. Whoa. Well, what happens if it's one of our picks?
It can't be, because they work together in the same movie. But it's three things.
Now, question, James, are all of yours actual henchmen? Because like I said, I actually went and did assistants, because I was like,
no. I have some that are assistants. But when I thought about, like I said, what made me have this idea is I was sitting in my office going, if I had to list what I'd want an assistant, Igor kept coming to mind, because I'm like, dude, he just shows up.
Yeah, I mean, his job. Honestly, when you said assistants, Igor was the first one that popped in my head. I don't know about Joe. So go ahead, Joe.
Well, kind of. Actually, as I started thinking about it, but that my three are going to be, I'm going to give you a quote from the movie. Holy shit, these guys are animals, Jack. I'm going to talk about the three storms, thunder, rain, and lightning, who are there to make sure Lopan gets his green-eyed bitch.
Joe?
Yes. Thank you.
Never thought of it.
But I was really happy when I got and by the way, once again, if you start looking up some lists, they show up on some lists. Now, that's not the most famous one I've got on here, but damn, boys, ain't they cool? In
They
Big
are.
Trouble in Little China,
Yeah.
they are the vicious warriors that fight their rival gang, the Chang Sings. The film starts with a fight between the two sides, and I'm not going to go over this. I'm sure most of our people have already seen it.
So it's thunder, lightning, and what's the third one?
Thunder, rain, and lightning. Lopan even calls one of them Thunder. Thunder, can't you take care of this?
I always liked rain.
Yeah, killed the previous Godfather, Little China Limley. They also fight alongside the three Storms ninjas that are physical manifestations of thunder, rain, and lightning. The majority of the Wing Kong are just a bunch of anonymous ninjas that are evenly matched against the Chang Sings. The three Storms, however, are powerful, scary, and extremely deadly. And that opening scene when they fight in that alleyway of Big Trouble in Little China, there's several John Carpenter films that went unheralded and then just became cult classics. But I still don't know that Big Trouble has ever actually got its due, because it just came out and blew up at the box office. And when I mean blew up, no one went and saw it. It had a terrible marketing campaign. I think it opened at like number 11, right, guys? When we were going through this.
And it's so depressing because it is one of my favorite films.
And it pretty much was the nail in the coffin of his big budget studio films. That was kind of the last one, except for Memoirs of Invisible Man. And it's just a tremendous movie. And those three bad guys are evil henchmen to the max. They're played by wonderful martial artists, and I just love them. Who's next?
Obviously me. Thanks for keeping track, Joe.
I forgot.
I'm sure your commenter.
Well, hold on now. Did you get any comments?
Ooh, you're talking about James and the Vincent Price, aren't you? You're burning. That's just mean.
No, I was just asking Chad if he got. Nobody's taking the time to even shit on Chad.
I don't know. Nobody ever comments on me. I am so expendable. It's funny.
And in truthfulness, that comment was to our show. It wasn't towards me. I just took.
Oh, we know who it was towards, or he would have actually replied to an episode with all three of us. It's okay. It's okay.
Gary Sherman.
All by myself.
Who's Gary Sherman?
The guy you didn't bother to show up for.
No.
All by myself anymore. No.
So mine is actually one of the perfect flunkies to somebody who is also just as incompetent as the assistant, and I still giggle whenever I hear Art Metrano saying Proctor.
What?
Proctor from played by Lance Kinsey in the Police Academy films.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those weird jumps in movies of, in the first two and three, he was the assistant to Art Metrano's character. And then suddenly GW Bailey comes back and now he's GW Bailey's assistant. And there's no explanation as to how that happened. It's just, he's just there. And everybody acts like it was always like that way. And, now I can't remember if it was after Art. I don't believe it was during Art Metrano's terrible accident that left him paralyzed, but that could be one of the reasons why he didn't come back. But also GW Bailey's just amazing. But no, Proctor was that assistant who just could not get the job done, no matter how hard he tried. He was a jerk to everybody, just like Harris and Art Metrano's character, who, why am I blanking on? Commandant Mauser.
I can't believe you remember the name so well.
I had to look up Art. I knew Art Metrano's name. I didn't remember his character's name. I had to actually look it up. But no, I still giggle from time to time when I just hear Art Metrano go, Proctor, in my head. It still makes me giggle. And I know poor James back there is going, he's no Super Troopers.
It's not. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to let you have your moment. But
well, it's better.
No, it's not. Now, I'll give you Super Troopers 2. It may be better than Super Troopers 2. But
Super Troopers is no Assignment Miami Beach. Come at me.
I would, but I'd have to get near you, and I don't want to even be near that negativity.
It is definitely better than City Under Siege and Mission to Moscow. But 1 through 5, well, okay, Citizens on Patrol, maybe.
Citizens on Patrol.
Yeah, Proctor was he was this laughing stock of an assistant who always was wrong, who always messed up, and then the troops always got him. Still one of my favorite scenes, and that makes no sense, is where he goes into the porta potty, and
is that in
Steve,
part 4?
I think it's in part 4.
Yeah,
and they had took it to a crane and they put him in the middle of a football game, and he comes up and he's just sitting like he's doing his business, like nothing's happening. It's not falling out underneath as the crane's going up, and he has no idea that his in the air walking back and forth. But it's still one of the funniest sight gags I've ever seen, especially with his reaction to it. So Lance Kinsey plays a perfect staff assistant in terms of Proctor. Assistant, I should say, not staff assistant.
I need to go back
my
and watch those.
next assistant that I want to my next assistant I want to talk about is another assistant that I would like to find somebody that was that loyal to me, because it's easy to have an assistant that's loyal to you when the money's coming in, when everything's going well, when you got your health and when you got all that. But the one I want to talk about, his boss has everything fall apart. He falls into a vat of chemicals. He ends up messed up in the face.
You son of a bitch! You stole my second one,
Bob
James.
the Goon.
Oh my God, James!
Bob the Goon.
Right here is
Think
number
about
2. No, he's
Think
not
about
number 2. This is going to be my number 1, and I was like, Chad may get the storm.
Guys, I'm kicking myself in again. He was on my list, but because I centered him a henchman, I went a different route. But yeah, and
nope. But right here is my number 2. You son
and
of
keep
a
in mind, by the way, I want y'all to think that. Keep in mind, I thought about this when I was trying to think of who would I want to work for me, but Bob the Goon and the Joker. By the way, if you haven't figured out, we're talking about the Batman 1989. Jack Nicholson's Joker has an assistant, and actually the line, "Bob, remember, you are my number one guy."
No, it's Bob. Remember, you're my number one guy. I can't do a Jack Palance. I can't do Jack Nicholson
or Jack Nicholson either, evidently. But
I did better than you did.
He literally knows Jack before the accident, and he sticks by Jack. Nobody else really hangs around it.
Why don't we let Joe do it so his commenter can make a lovely note about it?
You're not going to let it go, Chad, are you? You're
Bob
just going
the
to keep it going.
Was also known as Robert Bob Hawkins.
What? Yes.
And doesn't he have like a cool action figure too?
I don't know.
He was one of the ones. He was the only henchman that got a major action figure. His nickname, his aliases, according to the movie, are Number One Guy, Crazy Bob, Good Old Bob, and my favorite, Insurance Policy.
So
was among his aliases.
Did you actually look up the actor?
Yeah, it's Tracy. I looked it up, but Tracy Walter.
He has a lot of interesting roles.
I know. I thought he passed away, but he's still alive. He's 75, and he played a Ferengi.
Yeah. He was in Reno 911, which is also better than Police Academy. And he's done a lot of television, was my point. But yes, yeah. But no, I again, as I was saying about assistants,
Bob the Goon, power button activated power kick.
He throughout all of it. And if you notice, by the way, if you're a big fan of this movie, you know this. If you look at his jacket that he wears throughout the movie, he has the most Joker cards to show that he is the direct assistant to the Joker.
I don't know that I've ever paid attention to that.
Yeah. Well, it's his gang symbol, but yeah, the more Jokers you have, the higher rank you are, and he has the most ever shown on screen. But he pretty much makes it through most of the movie, right? Until unfortunately,
he gets killed.
I need a minute or two alone, boys.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as an evil henchman goes, he almost makes it as long as the villain himself, which is pretty impressive for an assistant.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I again, Chad, I went into this thinking about assistants. And what does it say about my mental state that I immediately was like, the person I want to work with me, I want to have the dedication of Igor and Bob the Goon. My third one is a little bit closer to what you did, Chad.
All I can say is, what does it say about me that my first pick was Proctor?
Ooh, he's got you there.
You have poor taste in films?
Is it my turn again?
Yes.
Are you done?
Joe, can you say you like Police Academy so your commenter can agree?
No, because I'm not giving you out free shit. You have to work for that, bitch. All right.
I'm sorry I stole your second, Joe. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really that sorry.
Yeah, because
he said he had a whole list.
I do, but it's dwindling. Because
it's a dwindle.
I have that effect on.
In all fairness, you burned your wad. Your first and second and third should have been
burned my wad.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah, I burned my
blew
wad.
Your wad, whatever.
Which is the same thing I did with Skull, and
I was about to say he got the same shit from Skull. So my next one is one that a lot of people know, and I hate to do it, but it is one of my favorite characters. It's Major Tote. I mean, if it wasn't for anything else, it's the hot poker scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
All he has to do is show up, and he's terrifying throughout the whole movie, right? And even if it's, remember the scene where he scared the shit out of Marion just because he was taking out his clothes hanger?
Now, question.
Yeah.
Would John Rhys Davies, would he qualify as an assistant?
I think so. But all of mine are evil henchmen. But I agree. And the actor actually who portrayed him passed away all too early in 1985-86, which is sad. He was a British actor. But the visage of him, the visual of him is so burned into my head. And I think it is for a lot of pop culture. I mean, clearly they were going for M, right? They were clearly looking and thinking of, oh, holy shit, who was in M? I forgot.
Peter Lorre?
Peter Lorre. They're definitely, to me, Spielberg was doing M and Peter Lorre. What do you all think?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can see it.
But he shows up. He even laughs at them. First of all, he's the James Thomas of evil henchmen. As they're walking through the desert, he has all this black shit on, all these long clothes. And what's he doing? He's sweating like a whore in church, wiping his face. It's a throwaway. And he's in the background. He's not even really in the foreground sweating, but he's sweating right there. Then once
if I'm not mistaken, the first introduction to him, he was late.
Probably. Then when they get there and they open it up, he starts laughing because he can't believe these motherfuckers got all this. Am I right? He's the one that goes, because it's empty. There's nothing but dust. Of course.
Oh no, he is evil. I mean, he is not for anyone per se.
He's a Nazi, and he's the most Nazi out of all the Nazis in this movie. He has to put up with a schmuck because Hitler is obsessed with the occult, and this motherfucker knows about it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I started thinking about him. I was like, hold on, he has that shot. He has that shot. And he doesn't have a ton of dialogue. He doesn't need it because everything's explained in these things. He's aggravated. He's sweaty. And they get there, and there's nothing in the motherfucker. And it makes him start laughing. Because what a waste of monumental time. And also, he's the one who melts the most.
He does.
He melts the most. Bellick explodes.
I would probably be the one that melts the most, wouldn't I?
No, I don't know. James.
I'll stop the world and melt with you.
Yeah, James, a melty son bitch. You, on the other hand, would wear a long sleeve shirt in the surface of
on top of another shirt,
on top of another shirt, while eating a wiener right off the grill.
It makes me comfortable.
Yeah. You and my son. It's an argument about you not wearing a sweater today. All right.
Yeah, I wore a long sleeve shirt when it was like 90 degrees the other day, and Chrissy's like, Chad, I'm comfortable. Why does it matter what I wear?
That's what he says.
Yeah.
All right.
So my next one, honestly, I feel is a bit obscure, and I feel like this movie doesn't get talked about a lot, which is a shame because I think it is an amazing. I am, of course, talking about Joan Cusack's character Marcella from the movie Grosse Point Blank.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it because I didn't care for it when it came out, and I wonder if it's grown on me. We've talked about it on here several times.
Yeah, I love this movie, and I John Cusack's dry wit is on full display here, and I've always loved John Cusack for that. And Dan Aykroyd playing a maniac is again amazing. You don't see Dan Aykroyd get to play that character a whole lot, but Marcella, who stays in an office, talks to John Cusack repeatedly, straight faced. She does her job so well, and she does it with complete straightness. And only Joan Cusack can. And then when finally everything starts to go downhill, she's the cleaning. She does everything the way that it's supposed to be done. I just don't think when you talk about an assistant, no one's as effective as Joan Cusack as Marcella. She is, and I'm probably butchering the name. I'm probably remembering it incorrectly. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure there was some nepotism as to how she got that role.
What?
Because she is John's sister, but I cannot picture anybody cast better for that role than Joan. And again, it's both of them playing kind of the same type of person. And John Cusack may not have more range than that based on all of his performances, but Joan Cusack does. Joan Cusack is an amazing actress, who can great character actors, bar none. And she does a great job. And she does a great job in this one. So that's my second pick, Marcella in Grosse Point Blank. James.
I'm going to go a little bit more traditional on this one, but this is a great assistant. Though I guess you could arguably say that she's an assistant to a villain too, though I think it depends on your age and how you view this. But there is something about somebody that serves in a administrative assistant, aka secretary, aka whatever you want to call it, role, that will stand by her supervisor and help him carry out his vendetta. And one of the greatest examples of that is Edie McClug as Grace in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's good. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
It almost made my list, but I cut it out.
Didn't occur to me.
Yeah,
I mean, think of it, like rewatch that movie and look at the world from her point of view.
I know.
Anytime she's on screen,
they love him. He's a righteous dude.
Yeah, she's a secretary at a school, and when
isn't
her
Edie McClure?
Principal McClurg, sorry, McClurg, infinite G, right? McClurg. I said McClurg.
McClurg.
And her principal says, we're going to get this one student. And she basically says, I guess that's what we're doing today. I mean, she doesn't actually say that, but she tries to support her supervisor, her boss, who she assists in his task. And she does it with all the Midwestern sweetness one would expect, and it, as Joe said, he's a righteous dude.
And I'm telling you, like, I still, again, like when thinking of Art Matrano saying, Proctor, oh my God, why am I forgetting on Jeffrey Jones is, Jeffrey Jones, granted, kind of problematic now.
Yeah.
But him saying, Grace.
Yeah. Now, it's just it's a fantastic pick. I didn't think of that one, and I really like it. As far as assistants go, James, you nailed it. You nailed that one.
I mean, just because it's one of those things that occasionally I'll watch a movie, especially if it's a movie I've seen several times, and I'll think, how would this world look to this one character? And she's the one, when I watched it the last time I watched it, I zoomed in on. Imagine her day. She got up one morning, thought she was going to go do the normal announcements, whatever her job is, file some paperwork. And then, no, today's the day my boss is going to target one student and I'm going to go along for the ride. I mean, administratively. So I think I was just sitting there going, you got to give her some credit. I think, obviously I went Igor and Bob the Goon, but no, I think you can't have a conversation about great pop culture assistants without bringing up Grace.
Okay.
Go.
My turn. I
Yep.
am going to talk about a character actor who not only defected from Russia, but one is the most premier ballet dancers of all time, Alexander Godunov. Now, you guys probably don't know who that is, right? He was born in 1949 and sadly passed away in 1995 from something that killed him way too early. But he gave you all one of the best performances of all time. He gave you Karl Vresky in Die Hard. He's the East German blonde-haired terrorist that's going to help Hans Gruber. I said Gruber. Hans Gruber take out that John McClane son of a bitch. Nobody?
Huh.
No.
No, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I know, but
Yeah,
did you all have any idea he was a fucking ballet dancer who defected from Russia and ended up here?
I did. Yeah.
That was what I was like, who played him? And then I started doing a deep dive, and he actually died of I keep wanting to say syphilis because we were saying syphilis earlier, and I'm not trying to be mean. It wasn't that. It's the hepatitis. He died of hepatitis.
Damn.
In 95. So, but how on earth does a ballet dancer end up playing the bad guy? I guess if you're a German bad guy, he was Russian. Anyway,
in all fairness, they all bleed together for us, right? I mean, we're not overly well refined at guessing accents. It's either, you're from the house or you ain't.
So let's defend Carl for a second. He's here just to rob some people. That's what he's here to do. He's following this Hans Gruber, German crazy son of a bitch. He's just wanting to rob some people. He's got his little brother with him. And then everything goes bad. And then this cop shoots his little brother, pisses him off. Then the bearded son of a bitch who's in charge says, "Nah, you're going to have to calm down, Carl. We've got other things. We're here for the money. I want blood," he says. "But we've got to get the money." So he calms down. Then that son of a bitch who I've been working for the whole time gets thrown out of the top of a building, beats shit out of me, and I make it out when no one else makes it out. And some asshole cop who's fat as fuck is just standing out here and shoots me in the damn face. Right as I'm about to get my revenge. Because Carl's the one who comes at the end. It's not Hans Gruber. It's Carl that comes in at the end to try to kill McClane.
Who was it again, Joe? Who was
Carl.
it that came in?
Carl.
You're saying it wrong. James, how should he say it?
Carl.
Thank you.
But Carl comes in, and there that chubby bastard just wanting to go home to his wife's like, "Oh, I've got a pop gun. I'm going to shoot this angry blonde white man coming at me," and he shoots him, which, by the way, he should have done. So, yes, go ahead, James. Chad, who are you again?
According to the commenter, I'm no one.
No, he didn't
He's
take
not
the
even
time to
nobody.
acknowledge your existence.
I just can't let it. The joke, it's a running gag now, and it made it entertain me no more in.
It's the only cardio the three of us are getting.
I think out of everybody, I honestly don't think Carl is the best henchman / assistant there, because his emotions screw up everything. I think Theo is the one that's better than Carl.
I think there's a good argument to make. I just really like Carl, and I like the fact that he's the one who makes it all the way to the end, and that's the reason I pick him. Also, I was really shocked shouldn't be shocked. There are two that showed up on almost all the lists. And by the way, Bob the Goon is on a lot of the lists. I was really happy about that. But the other one, go ahead. That I didn't.
No, I'm just going to say, when we get to our honorable mentions, I've got some good honorable mentions.
I have a bunch of honorable mentions. I actually had more than I thought I'd have.
I only have one, because one that I didn't pick, I don't know that he's a henchman. He technically is, but he's kind of almost the main bad guy. So we'll get to him in a second. Chad.
So it's okay, me.
But Carl got shot by the Family Matters dad.
I almost want to do.
Urkel's dad shot him in the face, Chad.
It's not Urkel's dad, it's Urkel's neighbor.
Urkel's neighbor's dad shot him in the face.
Because if it was his dad, him wanting to get with her daughter would be really
would make it a much more interesting show.
In all fairness, ballet really is boring.
Is it?
And probably shouldn't be encouraged.
Doesn't one of your children get involved in that, Chad?
No,
He don't show up for that
And that-
either.
God.
It is a
No,
running gag now.
Yeah, he don't show up.
Oh, but like I it's hard for me to go and actually, like, I wanted to do one of my gag ones for my last pick, but I'm saving those for my honorable mentions because there is one assistant who is also the perfect henchman. He is both, and he does his job with such dedication for his boss that it takes him down a lot of dark roads, and he never stops because he is so dedicated to this person. Michael Kelly's Doug Stamper from House of Cards.
Yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah.
Doug Stamper, the character Doug Stamper, played by Michael Kelly, is Francis Underwood's assistant in the show House of Cards. And he does damn near anything for his boss to keep his boss in power, including murdering people that he doesn't want to murder.
Yeah.
He feels guilty. He feels terrible about it. It leads him down some dark roads. But at the end of the day, he is dedicated to keeping Francis Underwood in power at any cost. And you always question, why is he so dedicated to this person? And they kind of explain it, but still, to the level of his dedication to Francis Underwood is beyond me. And he just is the perfect assistant to me. Like I said, I'm saving all of my gag ones for when we talk about honorable mentions, but everyone we've listed, I don't think holds anything to Doug Stamper.
As far as being the best assistant that will do anything for you to die, no, I still stand by that. The three fire, wind, and whatever they are, thunder.
But at the end of the day, they screw up royally in the craziest ways.
I know,
possible.
but they're so much fun.
Doug Stamper thrives.
But Doug Stamper killed Mrs. Maisel, and I don't like that. So you really got to dig into that one. You got to be a fan of 2 or 3 shows there, but I'm standing by.
Yeah.
I like Mrs. Maisel, and he shouldn't have killed her because I totally want to sleep with her. Back to you, Chad. She's funny.
No,
and
that's
dirty.
it. And,
okay.
and Francis Underwood killed Kate Mara, who is mine. So there you go.
No, you can have Kate. I'm Mrs. Maisel. James.
I need to watch that show. So your honorable mentions, James.
Couple honorable mentions, and one of them I almost made one of my top 3 because it's such an important figure to me. But the reason I didn't say it's one of the best assistants is because he doesn't start off as overly a great assistant, though I would argue the last time we saw her, she showed that she had a lifetime of dedication. I can't do a show and not talk about how important Janine is to the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
As far as assistants.
Oh my God, guys.
She
didn't even I didn't even think of Janine. What the hell?
What have you been doing with your life?
She didn't start as overly a great assistant.
I thought of Slimer. Right? I thought of Slimer. Never hit Janine. What the hell's wrong with me?
A lot, I would say, my guess. But no, Janine doesn't start as the world's best administrative assistant by any means, right? Like what do you want, right? I mean,
no, but they're terrible bosses too.
Yeah, they're terrible. No, everybody doesn't know what they're doing, and it's a great character to play. And the reason I say though, the last time we saw her, at least until perhaps next fall, we'll see. But the last time we saw her in Ghostbusters Afterlife, she obviously was still taking care of Egon, right? So she had became a little bit more human, or more, and I don't want to say human, more caring toward them. But she takes care of business, and she keeps everything running despite the fact they're broke in the beginning, right? And you have that great line, "This feast you see before you is the last of the
petty cash."
Well, and also too, if you get into the real Ghostbusters, the animated series, Janine is literally holding them up. Like the characters in the cartoon pretty much in a way resemble the characters from the movie, except Janine. And Janine gets the job done. She holds that team together, and you can see more of that in the animated series than you can in the actual 3 live action films.
Well, and I was saying, and she'll also throw on a pack herself if she has to. You see a little bit more of that in the cartoon as well, right? I mean, there is that part. She is not above doing what has to be done, and so I think I had to bring up Janine as an honorable mention because she is also one that changes the most over time. Another honorable mention I have to do changes the least over time, but I still have to give a shout out to because it's pop culture royalty to me. Probably none of the characters we're talking about as assistants have more knowledge, or at least knowledge about knowledge, than the character that sits outside and watches all the secrets pass by, and that would be Miss Moneypenny.
Yeah.
James Bond, the assistant to M in the world of James Bond, Moneypenny, in all the movies, originally played by Lois Maxwell, played by various other people now, but all of them, even though it's been updated over time, were some of the key cornerstones of those movies. I mean, from the very early Sean Connery ones, Moneypenny is a major role, and it's because everything from flirting with Bond, but also making sure M has all the information, all the data, all the secrets. It's Moneypenny. It passes through Moneypenny, and so I couldn't not mention Moneypenny as an honorable mention.
And I love that's one of the things I really love about the Daniel Craig Bond is when they turned her into a badass in Skyfall. I thought that was a great turn.
And it explains why she isn't out in the field anymore too, right? I mean, her willingness to kind of, and the other one I will mention goes back to 1963 as well. It's another 1960s product, and as far as most people are concerned. But obviously has been updated as the time goes on. You can't, to me, not mention, if you're into pop culture and assistants, Pepper Potts, Iron Man's assistant, outside of the suit at least, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, but a phenomenal assistant that literally is keeping him alive at certain points. And then
I didn't pick her because I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, no, but I'm saying even going back to the comics, she originally premiered, by the way, in Tales of Suspense number 45, if any collectors are wondering.
I was wondering.
And from then on, I do want to say, I want to end with my, please don't give me this assistant. So this is my dishonorable mention. It's a great character in a great film, pop culture, etc., still relevant to this day. And yes, what she does to her boss is justified in this movie. But please do not make Dora Lee Rhodes my assistant. Who? Dora Lee Rhodes is a secretary who plots to overthrow her sexist, bigoted boss. And that, if you're wondering what that's from,
I now know.
That's because you're working 9 to 5. Dolly Parton played Dora Lee Rhodes. And again, completely justified in the movie. Dabney Coleman as a boss is absolutely terrible and kind of gets what he deserves. That being said, that's not the assistant you want, the one that wants to take you down.
That's true.
So that's my quote unquote dishonorable mention, but a great role. And if you haven't seen 9 to 5, go watch 9 to 5.
Yeah, because you're working 9 to 5.
So those are my honorable mention and a bonus dishonorable. Next.
My main. All right. So
go ahead.
No, that's right. Who goes next, Joe? You go next.
I just have one because I it's not even an honorable mention as much as it is. I don't Count Rugen from The Princess Bride, and it's played by, oh my goodness, Spinal Tap. Why in the hell did I forget their Jamie Lee? Christopher Guest.
Christopher Guest.
Why did I forget Jamie Lee Curtis's husband's name? He's on a lot of lists, but I don't. Yeah, he is kind of serving the Prince Humperdinck, but he's kind of the main bad guy more than he is the evil henchman or the assistant. What do you guys think? Humperdinck is just kind of a, I mean, he's kind of a figurehead.
Yeah.
Well, you now made me think of another, perhaps it's another honorable or dishonorable mention, and talking about films that deal with royalty. How about the assistant to the king, Count de Monet? That's not a very good henchman.
Your Majesty, you look like the piss boy. Well, you look like a bucket of shit.
Count de Monet.
All right, Chad.
All right. So I left out the world of animation, but I want to use my honorable mentions to hit up a few key ones from the world of animation. The first one being Soundwave from Transformers.
That's a good one.
He does everything for Megatron. He
That's
honestly is the backbone of the Decepticons. The Decepticons would fail if it was not for Soundwave.
Chad, I have bad news for you. They fail every episode. That's why we're not under robot rule.
But
well, that is fake, but let's not get into
that. Oh yeah, that's what they want you to believe.
But they do not get any forward motion unless it's Soundwave. And he's always there. And he, you know, in the Transformers movie, he is there to defend Megatron as Starscream, as all the other ones rail against, you know, take Starscream side. Soundwave is right there. I will not abandon Megatron. So yeah, again, Soundwave, perfect assistant. Buzz Bomb from Cops.
Oh, okay, thank you.
The robot assistant to Dr. Bad Vibes. Who always tells Dr. Bad Vibes, this is not going to work. This needs to go another way. And Dr. Bad Vibes does not listen to him. And Buzz Bomb is always right. Again, perfect assistant. Now, in the world of animation, the worst assistant, Gurr from Invader Zim. I want to
no, I agree with you there. I enjoy Invader Zim, but yeah, that's a bad assistant. You don't need that in your life.
No, I love Invader Zim, and it's mainly because of Gurr. Gurr is just this throwaway robot that the leaders gave Zim to get rid of him, and he is malfunctioning. He throws out a GPS to replace. He needs to find. Their whole thing is to track the city. And he puts a GPS in Gurr so they can find his way home, and then they get lost. And turns out Gurr took out the GPS because he needed room for his cake in his head. Yeah, it's
that makes complete sense to me.
You should watch it. It is hilarious.
I'm going to sing the Doom song now.
Doom, 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 doom. Okay. And then finally, no, sorry, I got two on them. The first one is, this is an assistant who did not get a chance. He was thrown, or he or she was thrown away too soon because of one little screw up. That is the Gremlin from Gremlins 2, who John Glover just had to go throw in a shredder.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thanks for the feedback. And then finally,
nobody's arguing.
I know. And
then
finally,
later in the comments.
And then finally, this is a duo of assistants. And I don't even have to say their names. 2 words tells you how great of assistants these are. Teeny Wieners.
I don't remember.
I'm of course talking about Ordway and Unger from No Holds Barred. Assistants to Brel, the evil villain who tried like hell to just beat Rip down and make him fight Zeus, and got Randy all beat up and held hostage. Same with Samantha. God.
Kurt Fuller.
And Ordway and Unger. Kurt Fuller, man.
Hey, Chad, I got a question for you. You watched a lot of this animation, you see.
Yeah.
Do you consider Penny and Brain assistants to Inspector Gadget? Like, is Brain really he's a dog, but is he?
I don't consider Penny and Brain assistants, because Penny and Brain are the ones who do the work.
Exactly, right? So, but Inspector Gadget is who the show's named after.
Right, yeah.
And the movie and all that stuff.
And that's the whole, yeah. And in the movies didn't give Penny and Brain any credit. But yeah, Penny and Brain, if anything, Brain is the assistant to Penny, but at the same time, they are partners.
Yeah.
And saving Inspector Gadget. So I don't consider them assistants.
Yeah, cause I think that's a trope that animation. You pointed out some where obviously there are assistants, but animation is a trope. Like Pinky and the Brain. Pinky's not really Brain's assistant; he's a partner, right?
Right.
There's a lot more partnership in cartoons, and you pointed out some exceptions. But I was thinking about that as you were talking, because I don't consider, Penny and Bride, as assistants.
I am trying to. Oh my God, I am blanking so hard on the names of some of my favorite characters. But the scientist from Animaniacs, he has Nurse and then the Big Goon.
Yeah.
They're assistants.
Bob the Guard. It's
Bob
the Guard and Dr. Scratch and Sniff.
Thank you, Scratch and Sniff. I don't know why I forgot them, but yeah, those are good examples of assistants. But none of them hold a candle to Ordway and Unger. They do anything for Brel, including getting their male appendages just completely ridiculed in a scene from classic cinema that goes right up there with Scarlet. I don't give a damn.
You throw classic around a lot, almost as much
I
as
got
you
one
do
final
the other
one
C
for
word.
you.
Almost.
Joe, what other movie has such a line as teeny wieners?
I've got
And
one other.
Also, what's that smell? Sorry.
I've got one other hypothetical for you because we've talked about this before. I don't consider Harley Quinn an assistant to the Joker either.
No.
Yeah.
Well, originally she was a henchman.
She was.
But due to her character, her charisma, and popularity, just no, not anymore. She's her own entity.
Yeah, I don't think Bob the Goon exists without the Joker, right?
Right.
Yeah.
At least not in the way we know and love Bob the Goon. Igor doesn't exist in the same way without Frankenstein. And so is that ultimately our takeaway? Are these assistants who they are in large part because of who they work for?
Well, yeah.
Your point about
but that's true about most lives.
Underwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, they are furthered by who they work for in some way.
And by the way, because I left them and I forgot, because you all mentioned Henchmen, the other two that I want to mention real quick, Otis and Miss Tessmacher from Superman.
Oh, that was a good one.
Oh,
I was,
man, now y'all got me thinking about
I was going to add them on my list, but again, those were two that I removed because I was like, well, we're doing assistants, not henchmen. So yeah, Otis and Miss Tessmacher.
I think the other one that would be an honorable dishonorable mention for me, even though I love him and God bless James Best, would be Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah.
As trying to assist Boss Hogg.
Yep.
Another one that never works
That is
out.
a good
Joe,
one.
what about Little Enos?
Little Enos
Flash.
is not a henchman.
Nobody's an assistant or
no
daddy.
Deputy.
I don't see him as the same. But Roscoe is a henchman or assistant to Boss Hogg. So yeah, that one.
So you don't consider? Oh my God, I'm blanking. I can't believe I'm blanking on
Paul.
Daddy. Is that his name, Paul?
Who you talking about? Big and Little?
Are you talking about Buford Justice? Buford T. Justice's son?
Yeah, Smoking the Bandit. Buford T. Justice's son. I can't.
Junior.
Isn't it just Junior?
It's just Junior. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy got paid a lot of money to do very little.
Yeah.
For 3 movies, just because he's in The Longest Yard and Burt Reynolds. People always were with Burt Reynolds. Well, I shouldn't say he got paid a lot of money, but he worked in 3 movies to do damn near nothing except sit next to Jackie Gleason.
I didn't realize he was Tarzan. Sorry,
yeah.
I looked him up real quick.
Yeah, he's Tarzan.
So yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been Assistants and Henchmen Bonehead Weekly.
You know, if we planned this out, maybe we would have released this for Administrative Assistant Week.
Yeah, it's not our thing. It's just like
no, we don't. You know why we didn't plan this out?
And Father's Day.
We didn't plan this out because we don't have an administrative assistant to keep this on our calendar.
No, and haven't in a long time. This has been Bonehead Weekly.